Hi, I'm Bran, and I love The Way Home.
Hi, I'm Ryan, and I like The Way Home.
I'm Dan, and I despise The Way Home, and this is the
Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host his podcast.
We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, man, what a day.
What a day. It's not every day that a new Hallmark series premieres, and we're here to cover it.
It's not every day that we have a new Deck the Hallmark co-host.
That's true.
either.
In the theme song, it says Brandon and friends. And
That's
we
right.
have an ever-growing stable of friends.
Not that you're a horse. Did you say horse? None of that.
fellow collaborator,
That's right.
if you will. And I'm really excited to have Ryan. The feedback of you joining us for what was that? Undercut? Was it Undercover Holiday? What did you join us for?
It was Fuller House Fellow. It was the Lights Camera Christmas.
Lights Camera Christmas. That's right. That's
Made
right.
a real impression on me. Yeah.
The feedback was
It's
electric.
It's a meteoric rise from guest host to co-host for Ryan.
Is this the best thing that's ever happened to you?
It's really just an honor to be nominated type situation, you know?
Yeah.
But no, I especially appreciate it. And the few people I've interacted with so far from your fan base has been lovely. This is great. I'm happy to be here. It's going to be fun.
Now, that you would not have thought that, considering how at ChristmasCon we got to meet you in person, and Bran went out of his way to try to pick you up and body slam you.
Now
What
I
was
do.
that about?
I do want to give a quick backstory to this. So I'm sitting in the office with Brian, and I'm texting Ryan. I'm like, hey, blah 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 blah, so stuff like that. You guys get it.
Yeah.
And
blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course.
and he says, I'm gonna be at ChristmasCon. I'll come see you guys. And I text him, I'm gonna body slam you. And then I send the text and I put the phone down and I'm just like, what is wrong? Like, what? And I turn to Brian and I tell him, like, I don't really know this guy that well. It's a very weird, like, it was a weird thing to text, but you responded with grace and with kindness, and it was just like just another day.
Well, I guess it's what I do for a living. But yeah, in the text form, it was fine. Then it should be noted that in actuality, Bran tried to body slam me at Christmas time.
Yeah,
I did.
Yes.
We made eye contact from about 7 feet away, and then he charged me as if he was Ray Lewis in his prime, and went for the body slam. And here we are today, now a co-host on a Way Home podcast. So
That's
everything
right.
worked out swell and swimmingly. But
Were
it was
you-
no fun?
It was
Were you taken back?
Your legal team was a bunch of sharks.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. It's like you.
It's not a coincidence that I try to body slam you and you're here today.
You were not
Well,
accepting any less than co-host,
Right.
And there's nothing we could do about it.
Well, Bran seeked me out later that day. This happened. He asked me to be on the basketball pod, and we smoothed everything over. It's fine.
That's right.
But-
That's exactly
yeah.
right.
Great.
Today, this is a big week for you because you were on Falling for Basketball yesterday. You're on the Way Home today. This is you're taking over the Brandon
Man.
Podcast Network,
Taking
and I
the
will.
storm by rage.
But I will. Were you taken aback by my strength? Like how easily I was able to pick you up?
It should also be, well, I'm a pretty small fellow, but it should also be noted for those that weren't there and experienced it live. He claimed body slam. What he actually tried to did was suplex me. It was actually a suplex attempt.
But he didn't complete the suplex.
No, I was getting ready to do a whole F5 situation for you.
Sure, I reversed it because I'm a veteran of the wrestling industry.
Right, you are.
Yeah, and then we took a picture together with a John Cena fan. It was really a moment that you had to be there to experience live, much like WWE itself.
It was amazing, the timing, because you come walking up and there is a person at our booth who is so sweet, and she actually, this is another great story, but she is a wrestling fan and a Deck the Hallmark fan and a Hallmark fan.
Yeah.
She just happened to be
Venn
there,
diagram of one.
be a fan of yours, and it's like, can we all take a picture together? It was perfect time.
In a John Cena Christmas sweater, no less.
Yeah.
I was just walking by at that exact moment in time. Proof that miracles, Christmas, beautiful thing.
right.
It only at Christmas Con. But we were talking, and I was like, did we ever take a picture of the three of us? And we didn't. We didn't.
No.
And in good quality. But then I was like, there's one picture that we kind of, and it's with John Cena girl. And I'm like, is there any way we could find this picture? And so I went on our Instagram, went to tagged photos, and Kathleen Levito
Wow.
posted the picture, tagged us in it. I messaged Kathleen Levito. She sent me the image in high quality, and it is now the image that you'll see when you look up this show.
The show.
And you see the thing
On the Philo
it's,
TV.
it's the three of us.
Man,
I
can't believe it.
did cut Kathleen out, and I'm sorry, Kathleen,
we're really
but Kathleen's
sorry.
not here. It doesn't make sense
That's
for
right.
Kathleen.
We'll get her down the line, episode 5 or so. Yeah,
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Brand new show, The Way Home. What did you know, Dan, going into the show? Ryan, what did you know about it going into it?
Go ahead.
Oh no, I saw the trailer commercial, if you will, a few times while watching films of the season. But I this probably could be part of my hot take. I won't jump the gun, but it should be noted that I am not a big Hallmark series watcher, so I was not overwhelmingly familiar other than the quick snippets I saw during commercial breaks throughout November and December.
Have you dabbled with When Calls to Heart or Chesapeake or anything?
My mom is a big fan. My mom is a secretary at a roofing office, and one of the roofers also a big fan, which is my favorite part of When Calls to Heart. We'll miss an episode. Yeah.
Wow.
The roofer.
You read the synopsis and for the January movie preview.
Right.
And I know that it has Andy McDowell, who is from Gaffney, South Carolina, a mere 30, 40 minutes from, that Greenville. So always pulling for Andy McDowell. That's all I knew. I knew nothing else. Daughters involved. That's it.
I was also pretty in the dark. In the dark.
Mother, speak to your dog.
That was wonderful.
Thank
you.
That
was wonderful. The Way Home, in case you missed it, in case you're still in the dark about it, I will give you a little synopsis. You can also go over to the philo.tv/DTH. You can watch this episode. You can also watch The Way Home, old episode and new episode this Sunday on the Philo. Perfect way to watch it and watch the show. Are we ready to dive into The Way Home? Season 1, episode 1, originally aired on January 15th, 2023, and it went a little something like this. It's Port Haven, New Brunswick, 1814. And there's a girl, a woman being chased in the woods. Men are calling her a witch. She gets into a body of water, gets to a body of water and jumps in that body of water.
She's diving in,
going deep. Fast forward to present day. We're in Minneapolis, Minnesota, home of the Mighty Ducks.
That's right. Quack.
Original, not Anaheim,
not Minneapolis,
not a lot of Annapolis. It's not one of many.
Minneapolis.
That's
right. We've gotten that wrong. We've heard some pushback from the Minnesotans.
The Minnesotans? Is
yes.
that? Yeah.
Minnesotans.
That's dan@deckthehallmark.com. And there's a guy, he's singing on stage, and then they call for Alice to come on stage. And it is immediately clear that we're supposed to care about Alice. Too bad her dad doesn't care about her. He's looking at his phone. So Alice, instead of singing, runs off stage and pulls the fire alarm. Her mom, Kat, shows up. She just got fired from her job, and it's clear that her and her ex-husband don't really care for each other all that much. Alice is missing, and when they find her, she's throwing a midday rager at the house. With her daughter expelled, her without a job, Kat sits down at her desk and reads a letter that she got from her mom, Dell, asking her to come home. So it seems like a good time to move back home to Port Haven, Canada. Alice is not thrilled by this. Kat hasn't been home in 20 years, and she's immediately struck by the weight of memories that come flooding back, including memories of her little brother who's passed, also her dad who has passed, lots of passing, lots of memories, lots of sadness. And she also doesn't get off on a great foot with her mom because there's a little bit of a friction there. Kat is talking with mom, and it comes out that Dell never sent the letter. They're both very confused about where this letter came from. Alice is pretty miserable and gets embarrassed when she sees a cute boy outside working on the farm first thing in the morning. She's over there in her PJs.
Unbelievable.
Kat is excited to see an old friend, Elliot, and they are both excited to find out that they're both getting divorced. Divorce.
Yeah.
Alice starts at her new school and immediately sees the cute boy. His name is Spencer. He has a girlfriend, Womp Womp, and they start saying, hey, you're not wearing PJs. Cool. Wouldn't you know it, Elliot is Alice's teacher. She gets picked on, so she leaves, this time without pulling the fire alarm. But Mom is not thrilled to find out that she left. So Alice is like, hey, I just want to move back home and move in with Dad. And she's like, good luck. His girlfriend just moved in. And she's like, what? Girlfriend? Does that mean that this is you guys are officially over? So she runs into the woods. She throws her mom's bracelet that she gave her into the pond, the lake, whatever you want to call it. And then she starts to feel bad about that she did that. So she goes into the lake. It's the same lake from the beginning. We know that.
Yes.
And she starts to drown. There's things wrapping around her. It's a whole thing. There's some whispering. I don't know. And then someone grabs her hand and pulls her up. It's a girl about her age. And she says that her name is Kat. It's her mom, but younger. Alice just time traveled, and we're supposed to be like, yeah, just another day in Port Haven. So she meets young Elliot. She meets her grandfather. She meets her would have been uncle. And she realizes that it's 1999. And her mom gave her some clothes to put on because her clothes are wet. This is a wild time for her. She eats dinner with that family. She sings songs with Grandpa, hugs her uncle. And Jake, the Kat's brother, takes out a little picture camera, a picture camera, takes a picture. We'll see if that comes back.
As opposed to what kind of camera you're thinking of.
Don't. And he says to look out for the white witch in the woods, which, all right. It's getting late, and they tell Alice that she should be getting home. So she leaves and is like, I guess I'll figure it out. Kat is freaking out, leaves her a voicemail saying, where are you? She starts looking through this old tin of photo. Look at this photograph. And she's looking through it, and one of those pictures is the one that Alice was in back in 1999. But
in the picture camera.
But it's kind of blurry. There's a lens flare situation,
lens flare.
As if you took a picture with a ghost. That's how I imagine. Not that I have any.
No.
Alice finds Elliot and says, you told me once that you would help me anytime, anywhere. And he says, no, we just met. And she says, trust me, you did, and I need your help. Cut the present day. Elliot is at the pond, gets a call from Kat, and he tells her that everything is going to be okay and to trust him. And that, my friends, was The Way Home, Season 1, Episode 1.
Pilot.
We
did it.
We did do it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to break this episode of television down here on Deck the Hallmark. We are back. We're talking about The Way Home, the newest television show from the Hallmark Channel. It's time for the hot take. And we're going to start with Ryan, who does not have a lot of experience with television shows. But Dan and I have 9 seasons of When Calls the Heart under our belt. We could put that feather in our cap. But you don't have that yet. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, not only in this show in particular, but also, did it exceed your expectations for Hallmark television?
I like that the sentence was, I don't have a lot of experience with TV shows, just in general.
Just in general.
You've not really heard of this new metric, this television
Best
shows.
I understand you just watch wrestling. That's it, right?
And not on a television, only on a mobile device.
That's right.
It's exclusively. So I don't want to be too long-winded. I think what got me excited about the show pre-watching it last night was I'm fascinated by those late 90s failed WB shows. Like
Yeah.
I feel like every month I find out that insert 90s star was in a failed WB show, and I'm fascinated by all of them. I missed the WB voice guy. I missed the cool little frog. I missed the whole thing, right? It's like, and so I felt like, not that I'm saying this is going to fail. I felt like this was that type of vibe, like an interesting late 90s, early 2000s WB vibe. And so that got me excited. I then thought that the cold open came out very hot. My favorite film of the season was Ghost of Christmas Always. Hooked you right from the beginning. I was there. I would be lying if I said the next 25 minutes of showtime grabbed me. Anything in the present day did not do it for the Rye guy, but I thought it was kind of a tale of two shows, because once we got to 99, once we went through the Swamp Creek, river, whatever you want to call it, I really liked the 99 stuff. I thought it was fun. I thought it was paced well. The mystery elements worked for me. I like the 99 show. I don't know if I like the 2023 show. That's where I land after the pilot.
Love it. Love it.
So I didn't know a lot going into this show, what it was. What I assumed it was, because the whole thing is like telling multi-generational something or other. And I'm just kind of like, okay, so they're going to get flashbacks, and it's going to be like, I'm telling my daughter the story about when I was a kid and her mom and stuff. I didn't know it was time travel. I didn't know there was a time traveling pond portal. So,
I did see them live though, and they were phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Oh my!
They
goodness.
take you places.
Yeah.
So
it
yes,
was in the basement of the basement. Do you know what
yes,
I'm talking about?
I do know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's one of those secret shows. Two
Their
elbows.
B-sides are unreal. Yeah.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
you've seen. We watched Barbarian together.
Yeah, we did.
It's just like that.
Basement of the basement.
Basement
You
of
get
the
it. Yeah.
What was I talking about? Oh, the show. So when I found out that it was time travel, I was very excited. I agree. I thought the cold open was wonderful. I like the family. I like the characters. And when she fell into the pond and pulled up, and it was her mom back in 99, I was pumped. I was pumped out of my mind. I was electric. I was like, we're not in Hope Valley anymore, folks.
No, we're not.
This is television. This is what I will say.
What if somebody jumps into the sinkhole and shows up in Hope Valley?
It's a bridge too far for me.
That's season 3.
Yeah, season 3. This is a show, and this is what I was trying to think about while I was watching this, is if I wasn't watching this, for this,
Hallmark. Yeah, it's hard.
Would I stick around for episode 2? And I can honestly say that I would. I'm excited to see what episode 2 has to hold, because episode 1, I think, set us up pretty well. It was a pretty exciting pilot, and it was really intriguing, and really, you never knew what was going to happen next. So I did, and I'm excited for season 2. I mean, season 2, Lord willing, but episode 2 especially, very excited about it.
Season 2, Lord willing.
Lord willing.
Yeah. We're praying. Dear Lord, please get a renewal for The Way Home.
I know I've only seen one episode.
I know there's a lot going on right now, but if we could get that early news on season 2 of The Way Home, that would be great. That would make me sleep better. Listen, I am not.
I've already gotten into too much trouble on my thoughts on prayer. So
yeah. I am not here to tell you that this show is for me or that I would have sought it out. I'm also not here to tell you that I did not want to watch the next one.
Yeah,
it was over.
Let's go.
This show ends so incredibly well. It starts well, it ends well. In between there, you're not wrong, Ryan. A little bit of, and I'm worried over the course of 10 episodes in a season that we're going to get more of that mushy middle than we are going to get the strong ends, because you're not going to be able to have a big cliffhanger every week. But this is Hallmark taking a huge swing that they never do. We're dealing with time travel. I'm a huge time travel nerd when it comes to movies and TV shows, as you know. We go right into, out of the gate, right into the bootstrap paradox, which is the whole thing about how can one event have started the other event. So like, how can the event where he goes into the river have happened without him or her going in the past, or how did that happen without the other? Like, how are they going to solve that? Right? That's every time travel show is, how do you solve the bootstrap paradox? Is it separate universes? Is it things change every time something changes in the past?
Buy a boot with laces.
Yeah, a whole thing. So that the thing is,
I thought it was funny, guys. I don't care if anyone at home. I don't think it landed with anybody else.
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
But you have Andy McDowell, who does a great job in this. You get to question every single character now. Like with this twist, there's a lot of characters that you can question when they are oriented, if that makes sense. So yeah, it is pregnant with possibility. The last 15 minutes is really, really solid. And I desperately want to see what happens next. So kudos to you, Hallmark. I'm in for another one.
And they just kind of like sneak in the fact that mom didn't send that letter. They just kind of say, you kind of hear it in passing, and you're just supposed to be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, well, that's why I think I don't know if it was supposed to be this big of a secret, or if the three of us are just idiots.
They're just stupid.
Like none of us knew.
Time travel?
What? Sinkhole? Like we all, like it caught us so far off guard. But I mean, make no mistake, even if it didn't, bring me your best When Calls the Heart clip show. Like combine the best elements of every When Calls the Heart episode into 42 minutes, and this is better than that. I'm serious. So and so it's hard for me to separate. Like you said, it's hard for me to separate. Is this good or is this Hallmark good? Because I sat down thinking it was going to be a When Calls the Heart Chesapeake Shores situation, and what I got was something more akin to WB shows. And so I'm like, this is great, but is it really great? I don't know.
I would say the last 7 minutes were legitimately great. Like that cliffhanger would be good whether this was on Hallmark, NBC, right, wherever the hell you want. Like, I mean, like it was interesting world building, character development. It hit.
When he showed up at the end with his phone, when the dude showed up at the end with his phone, I got chills. Like legitimately was like, oh yeah, now it all makes sense. Like the daughter wrote the letter, the whole thing, like it all just kind of like comes full circle, and you're like, oh, they're doing something here. I'm fascinated to see if they can hold that, though. You know what I mean? Like it's hard week to week to hold that without giving you some sort of cliffhanger every week, or without giving you answers, because there's a few fundamental, like, is Andy McDowell the witch in the beginning of the movie? Like the person they're calling a witch, is that Andy McDowell? Did she jump through and time travel ahead? And then she's from way back when. She's playing it like that could be the case. I don't know. I have no idea if that's the case. There's so many questions like that.
So the one thing that when it fades to black, the scenes for the next episode start. And it's like next week on the way home.
I didn't watch
it. And I tried to turn off as quickly as I could, but I'm watching on my computer and I got to do the cursor thing. And all I hear is it takes you to the time in which you need to be. And now I'm stuck with that piece of information.
Yeah. See, why did you ruin that for me? I've not watched it.
Yeah, because if I had to do it, you had to do it. Let's get the feels. Let's talk about what gave us feels in this. Ryan?
I was hard pressed for feels, which isn't to say that, again, I didn't enjoy the last half of the episode. I would say two-pronged for me. I thought that younger 99 mom character, I can't think of her name offhand. Kat. I thought younger Kat just really brought a great energy to the back half of the episode. Didn't have anything necessarily to do with plot development, although it did at the same time. But she was just really fun. I like that we were in the 90s. I myself, a product of the 90s. And so I really enjoyed that. In terms of personal feels, I used to do some spoken word, so the talent show gave me a hoot and a holler. Even though it was all 30 seconds.
Spoken word
back in the day. Yeah, I also have 3 Christmas albums. Yeah.
What's the best spoken? Like you left and you're like, you could hear the applause was pop. Like you could hear, like, what's the best one you ever did?
I did I did a talent show a little bit upstate. I was like early 20s, and like 75 affluent, wealthy Connecticut people were there in their middle 50s, and they thought I was just a rip roaring good time.
Wow.
Like, they did. Yeah. And I said, you know what? I don't have a future in this, but boy, this was fun. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you got to go out on top.
I once played a gig with all metal bands. And it was the most merch I'd ever sold at a show, because moms that brought their kids to see the metal bands freaking loved me. They're like some guy, it's kid was up there with an acoustic guitar and some other guy with a banjo. Those guys were awesome. So yeah, that was a pretty good day for me. Pretty good day for me. Did you get to Fields?
Those were the talent show was, we're good. Yeah.
We love a good talent show. When she gets pulled up for the first time out of that water, her mom, again, to your point, I don't know if it was a secret, but it was a secret to me.
That's right. All of us were like, what?
Our minds are blown. We're freaking out. We're high-fiving each other through screens. Well, I didn't see it coming, and it blew my mind, and I got so excited. Because up until that point, I was like, it's going to be a show on a farm, and it's going to be someone telling, telling her daughter stories. Yeah. And her daughter's going to be like, I don't want to hear your stories, Mom. And
I got a new idea for a Hallmark show. It's on a farm. Yes.
And slowly over time, she's going to start to soften to her mom's stories. That's what I thought the show was going to be. So imagine my surprise and excitement when she gets pulled out of the water and she's in 1999. Yeah, I'm losing my mind a little.
Well, I think as soon as that happens, and that would be mine too, is that all of a sudden I went from trying to keep my interest to asking questions. That's when a show has you, is when you're like, but what about this? What about this? What about these things? And that's what happened. As soon as she goes back in time, I went, all right, you played that card. How are you going to do these things? Is she missing in present day? Is time standing still in present day? Is Andy McDowell, where is anyone from who lived on that farm? There's so many things now that I'm like, I'm now invested in this program, which I've never said about When Calls the Heart. So congrats.
And also to the point of investment, Dan, when she's singing with her uncle, I do believe in the end in the 99, the teenager character was pretty unlikable for the majority of the hour, but I instantly was all about that dynamic and her. I was like, oh, this is a really nice person. Also just lovely harmony. But those last 10 minutes really did a great job in bringing us to the point where we were totally invested for the next week.
Yeah. And
it was actually her grandpa.
I don't want to,
grandpa. I
don't want to give this show too much credit, but we don't, I believe, see Andy McDowell's reaction to her granddaughter being gone. So there is at least a chance that she knows that that's going to happen.
I feel like there's a short scene where she's like, it was still daytime. Okay. She was like, she does this sometimes,
because part of the thing is like, clearly she's not there long because she doesn't ever tell him who she is in 1999. So I've got all kinds of questions. We can do that. There's a segment coming up. We can figure that out then.
Sink or swim?
Sink or swim.
We're gonna take one more quick break. We'll come back with the last two segments here on Deck the Hallmark. Well, I'll be. We're back, everybody. We're talking about The Way Home, Season 1, Episode 1. Let's get to the wait what. See if there was anything in this episode of television while we're watching it that made us go, wait, what? And I'll start with you, Ryan. Ryan, what are you waiting and what are you wanting?
I had a good several waits and a few more whats. I will not hit them all, but you can buy bees off Craigslist. That's a thing that can happen in 2023 and or 1999.
You want to see those bees up front. You don't want to give the money before you see them. I think that's very important for you to understand.
I was totally thrown.
Now I want to know if she time traveled back to where Craigslist was a hot thing and got the bees then and then brought them through the pond.
And then Andy McDowell brings them to the Salem.
Yes.
Yeah, in 1880. Yeah. I understand that it's a show about time travel. So this is probably me nitpicking to the umpth degree. But how do those kids at the school know she pulled the fire alarm before it's not going to be on her Facebook page. Unless they are rating the student records at Canada High School. How could they possibly know that she pulled that fire alarm?
Pulled the fire alarm in Minnesota.
Right.
So that doesn't make the social
media.
That
was my biggest one. I had that written down as well. Like a kid pulling a fire alarm is somehow spreading worldwide. Did you hear about the kid in Minneapolis that pulled the fire alarm? I have a 5-year-old who's pulled the fire alarm. He walked into school the first day.
I saw about it on TikTok.
K4 and everyone's just ragging on him. You're the kid that pulled the fire alarm.
But that was my other thing. Like, pulling the fire alarm is apparently like, apparently it's like, I would have akin that to like stealing Monopoly money. Like I was like, all right, maybe a half-day suspension, expelled from school for pulling the fire
It's
alarm.
a rite of passage.
Yeah.
You don't leave those uncovered. They're asking for them to be pulled.
The other thing you don't know is that there's a camera recording it, so it's easy to put on TikTok.
Yeah. It's
you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you want it to spread as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's the fire alarm challenge.
And she was the first one.
She's the first
She's
one.
the first person
She is
to
the
ever pull the
originator
fire
of the
alarm.
fire alarm challenge.
It's
A
amazing.
trend center, an innovator. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Was that it?
Last one for me was who throws a rager at their parents' house while school's still going on a weekday when they know their parents are coming home. Cease list. Other than that, excellent episode of television.
1:30 in the afternoon. Who's got the keg, everybody?
You can't have it both ways, though, because she just pulled the fire alarm, which is apparently enough to spread like wildfire.
At the
but
talent show during the school day.
But she's still able to get a bunch of people over to her house.
Yeah.
Apparently, the word hadn't spread yet.
Yeah.
The word hadn't spread yet. I had the fire alarm, but I also have the kid at the old school. He's doing his thing. He comes off stage. Clearly, they have some sort of weird feud going on because she runs off the stage after seeing her dad on the phone and just goes, "I knew you were nothing but a one-hit wonder."
Yes.
What?
What is he talking about?
Does she have a hit?
Does she have a hit single? That was one of my big ones.
Yeah, but also like it's like a high school talent show. Like just such a weird reaction across the board from everybody in regards to this.
Maybe she won last year's talent show with the aforementioned one-hit wonder. We could,
okay.
I knew you couldn't win this talent show 2 years in a row.
That would have been the way to say
material.
it. Oh, one-hit wonder implies that she wrote 1 week by the Bare Naked Ladies or something, and is like living off of those royalties.
You're going to answer to the BNL fans for that. I am telling you right now, to say that they're a one-hit wonder brand. I mean, you're asking. You can email brand@deckthehallmark.com. I do not stand by that take.
They have a great Christmas. They have a great Christmas album.
Especially to do that on the show about Canada. Not wise.
That's
not
right,
wise.
man.
Guys, I'm sorry.
Gosh.
Sweet Child of Mine. Dang it. I did it again.
Guns N' Roses.
Sink or swim.
A one-hit wonder. Africa.
Toto?
Toto, not Tito.
Jermaine? Randy?
Tito's version of
Tito's
Africa.
version is
It's
nuts.
a one-hit wonder. That's true.
It's not.
Toto's a one-hit wonder? Did they not make any other songs? I don't know. Marcy's Playground, Sex and Candy. That's a one-hit wonder. Right? Like
Sure.
that's come on. All right, I got a couple more. The one-hit wonder thing was
all of wrestlers' intro songs, one-hit wonders.
How dare you?
Yeah. I was just never mind. That was going to go poorly. There are a lot of high school kids on the farm getting community service hours with their teacher. Like an absurd number, like dozens. And then we find out they have to go to school that day. So I want to get this straight. These folks are hurting so bad. Are the service hours due at 3 p.m.? There are a dozen or more high school students who are like, I got to get this S done today. 6 a.m, they are out at a farm and they have to go to school and the teacher is there with them. Why? Why is that happening?
It's an early day for him and a late day for him.
Yeah,
you gotta help time travel people at the end of the night too.
And then
that's an 18-hour day.
That's right. Yeah, he's a full day when you're helping time travelers. And then the best is she goes back in and gets dressed, and she gets real mad at her mom. She's like, "I'm going to be late." I want to be clear. All of those kids are still out there working. They're all still out there. She's like, "I'm going to be late if we don't leave this instance." All of them are neck deep in sweat from hours of farm work. I just don't understand. Are we in 2 separate movies? Like, do they see each other?
And were there no other options for community service? Because I got to be honest, farm work at 6 a.m. is
on a school day.
Everything has to be
right.
not
I
available.
will work the polls before I'll do that. Like, I don't want any part of that.
I worked the polls once.
Did you? Yeah. You got paid though, didn't you?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then lastly, Andy McDowell. Now,
it was not it was not the most recent election, guys. Don't email me. I had nothing to do with anything. Just back off.
Yeah. And different polls. You should see Brand when he does a split. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Polls. You were flipping between polls. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
What an athlete. Yeah.
Last one, Andy McDowell says there's a pond out in the woods, more of a sinkhole, really. Now, later on, we find that could be the fact that she knows that it's a sinkhole, like it's a hole that goes underground.
Right.
But before we find that out, when you see the pond for the first time, you're like, this is not a sinkhole.
Pond.
No, this is a pond.
It's a great pond.
Let's not call it what it's not. But her saying that makes me think she has some familiarity with it. For sure. That's all I got.
That's the questions that keep coming.
Right?
Speaking of questions, let's get to the what the hallmark. Something we'll call sink or swim just for fun. But it's still just what the hallmark. Any questions that we're still wondering about?
Are we more sinking or swimming?
Any questions that are going to keep us up at night that are going to sink us or swim us? But Ryan, what do you got? What are you wondering?
In real time in the chat right now, there's hashtag Brand Works the Polls, and I wonder if that's going to catch on.
Guys, my poll. Guys, my poll.
POLES.
My poll days are over. Don't try. I got kids now. No one wants to see that.
That's my new sink or swim. But I'll be honest, this happened very fast. This is earlier in the episode. It might be when the kids are working the farm, not working the polls. Andy McDowell says something about the geography of the land and mentions the Carolinas. It happened very quickly, though. Yeah. I'll be honest. I wrote it down, but I wasn't exactly sure. But is the spinoff coming to that Greenville?
Yeah.
That was where I landed as
to
could this possibly be the long play?
I love it.
Yeah. It should be.
Yeah.
We've talked about spoken word, but let's talk about it again because Elliot does a little spoken word thing. And she's like, oh, you remember that, huh? And he says, Everybody's Free was the spoken word hit of the late 90s. There was a spoken word hit.
You can ask 75, 50 plus rich, affluent Connecticut.
Was it you? Was it you?
There is no such thing as a hit, correct?
Well, it hit Connecticut, but also on the Canada charts, there's a spoken word top 40. So it's like,
the spoken word is huge in Canada.
Big in the 90s.
Everybody's Free was, and he says the spoken word hit, which does that. I mean, I can buy it. There's one spoken word song, word track. I don't even know what you call it. That just cuts through the noise and it becomes a hit. It was the spoken word. I want to hear this spoken word. Everybody's Free is the name of it.
Wow. Everybody's free.
Everybody's free.
All of us.
I have a sink and a swim, Bran, if you'll allow it. My sink is that.
Well, especially since I'm foggy on what it means.
That's right.
Yes.
You don't have a choice.
Yes.
Until you figure out the deets. You just have to let me roll with it.
Yeah.
My sink is, I just got the legitimate sinking feeling after watching this that Hallmark is going to Hallmark this up and make it to where they don't abide by the
Hallmark.
They don't abide by the rules that they create.
Okay.
They have this crazy sinkhole time travel thing, and they're going to make it to where they break their rules constantly, and it's going to become a show like The Flash in season 5, where there's like 33,000 universes and nobody cares because everybody can live again. And that's going to really taint what up until this point I've been very, very impressed with. So I did have that, and I hope I'm wrong. My swim is this, and I hope you're all seated. Where's the dog from? Because the first time you see the dog, he's running out of the woods, and Andy McDowell says he just took a swim in the sinkhole.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So that dog could be from any time in history and could be her dog from when she was a witch back in the day.
Wow.
Or an accused witch, not an actual one. It could be from anywhere. The dog may be there to help in every, if it goes where you need to go, maybe the dog is like this thing that helps bring you back or something. I have a huge yes. Wow. Very fascinated by the dog.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. Man, lots to think about here.
I'm glad I was seated.
And that was the swim.
That was the swim.
That was the swim.
It's a good swim, right?
It all makes sense now. now that you did it, now it all makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. Guys, we did it. The Way Home, season 1, episode 1.
That was fun.
Before we go, Ryan, we're going to end each of these with a little wrestling corner that we'll call wrestling. That's called wrestle him to the ground.
Hey, what is going on here?
What do you got? What's the wrestling corner?
Dennis Haskins was just co-hosted the Deck the Hallmark with me. Big week in WWE. We're getting ready for Royal Rumble. We're also getting ready for the 30th anniversary of Raw. So a lot to be excited about. I can't get over the segment name or Dennis Haskins.
Why are we doing this?
I'll be better next week. I mean, just a lot to look forward.
30th anniversary of Raw.
Yeah.
Was there ever a single day, a single Monday where Nitro is better than Raw?
Oh, I mean, listen. So I grew up when I was 7, 8 years old. That was the
That's
thick
right.
of it. And so my great regret is honestly not being I wish I could just live where I could have just flipped back and forth. But my bedtime was 8:30.
Yeah,
so Nitro Raw didn't even start till 9, so it was tough for me. I had to catch up on the weekends.
Yeah,
so
that's tough.
But again, as I said last time, I mean, I'm fond to Nitro because DDP gave me free yoga, and
that's right.
Means, yeah,
bang.
And,
that's right.
So that thus concludes this week's Wrestling to the Ground. Dennis,
wrestle to the ground.
Hey, what is going on here?
Really quickly, I did say that all of the wrestling intros are one-hit wonders. It is close, but what is your favorite wrestler intro? Not whole thing, because that's the Undertaker clearly, but actual song.
It's actually a specific deep cut. So Stone Cold Steve Austin's theme is great.
Yes.
But then in the early 2000s, Disturbed did a remix of it.
Wow.
And it was just it's like heavier metal version of Stone Cold's theme. And before big tests in college, I would play that in these exact earphones, probably not these ones, they're new. And I would look left to right as I'd get ready for a biology exam I was going to fail. And man, did I feel bulletproof. What a time.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You did. And I'll leave you with this. What was... And you got to sing it or hum it. What was the Hurricanes theme song? Go.
Stand back. Hurricane.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
And then just that loop. That just loop.
Just not a loop.
Yeah, we've lost a portion of the audience.
That's for no one. That's for no one.
Ryan using the word apportion to mean everyone.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through.
I'll get it tomorrow. Gosh. Yeah, maybe I got it on the basketball show retroactively.
Retroactively.
Hey, what is going on here?
We're going to be back tomorrow with Win Calls to Heart, guys. A new season of Win Calls to Heart. And by new season, I mean it's a year old at this point.
That's right.
But we're finally catching up. It's new to us.
This time travel sinkhole.
That's exactly right. Until then, may we be the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.